Welcome to Friday Friends, RI Elder Info's weekly look at the organizations and individuals providing resources for Rhode Island seniors, caregivers, and professionals.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is a chilly start to today, but we are talking about something that is very important. But I do want to let you know that the conversation today may be triggering for you. We are speaking about domestic violence because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And unfortunately, domestic violence is one of those things that doesn't go away as we age. Older adults are experiencing it. So I did want to let you know ahead of time that we are having some hard conversations. And if you're not able to watch today, I understand. Check us out next week. But if you are able, because domestic violence is something that is so common, please help us get the word out. Share the video, hit the like button, the bells, the whistles, because the person is seeing it may be someone who needs help and they're not really sure how to get it. So this is a very important conversation this morning, but I do want to make you aware that it may be hard to hear. So I am grateful that you have joined me today. As you know, I am Deb Burton, the Executive Director of RI Elder Info. And every Friday for more than 6 years now, you have joined me as I speak with guests who are sharing information and resources that you know that you need or someone you know needs to know about. As a nonprofit, we could not do this without the support of our sponsors. So a huge thank you to Point 32 Health Foundation, United Healthcare, and McCarthy Law. Here's a message from McCarthy Law.
Here at McCarthy Law, we practice in the areas of estate planning, long-term care planning, elder care law, and residential real estate. Our focus is really on providing peace of mind to our clients.
If you're interested in scheduling a consultation with our office, you can feel free to reach out to us at 401-541-5540. You can also reach out via website at www.mccarthylawri.com. You also should check out our social media, both on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for some helpful tips and tricks.
Welcome, Kathy and Laura. How are you? Can you hear us? How about now? Can you hear us now? I don't know, maybe you might be on mute. So Kathy and Laura are with us from Sisters Overcoming Abusive Relationships, SOAR. And it is a group of survivors who bring information and resources to the community about the very important topic of domestic violence. Can you guys hear us now?
I'm sorry, I lost.
Oh, I can hear you now. How about now? Oh, you were there for a second and then it went back off.
We're back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can see you. I can see you, Kathy. If you want to start while Laura gets the tech under control.
I've lost connection.
No, you haven't. We can still see you.
Can you hear me now?
How about you, Laura?
It sounds like I can be heard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
I can't hear anything.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank you, Deb, for asking us to speak today. I'm Laura Dussault, and I'm a member of Sister Overcoming Abusive Relationships, an organization we call SOAR, for over 30 years, and I have gained knowledge and have experience as a survivor of domestic violence and traumatic brain injury. I'm here with Kathy McCormick to share our experiences and some resources to help you or someone you know who's experiencing abuse. Sister Overcoming Abusive Relationships is an organization we call SOAR, is a task force of the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence. This year's 30 years ago, I had already left the abuse.
You're okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah. And
I was
Laura,
echoing.
yeah, Laura, did I hear you say that you have survived
Can you unplug so I
domestic
can hear
violence?
because I'm not hearing.
Unplug and plug.
Yeah, I've lost sound.
Okay.
Is that better?
I have no sound.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now I can hear.
There you go.
Can you do that?
Can you hear me?
You are echoing because there are two microphones feeding into the
There we
system
go.
at the same time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So go right ahead.
I've got an echo.
I started SOAR because I wanted to create change. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Yes. Because I wanted to create change. I wanted to create change for me and my son to move forward after the abuse. I joined SOAR when SOAR was still developing and having conversations about how to create changes to benefit survivors and their children. My face lit up when I heard about creating change at a higher level based on survivors' experiences and how survivors' voices could create better change. SOAR is based on empowerment, education, and improvement of systems for survivors. Over the last 3 decades, SOAR has grown in membership and influence. We have helped pass laws and improve survivors' safety and lives. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I am here to tell you all know that domestic violence happens throughout the lifespan. Everybody knows someone who's affected in Rhode Island because 1 in 2 people experience domestic violence in the state of Rhode Island. Of those experiencing domestic violence, at least 75% of us have a traumatic brain injury as well, based on the Ohio Domestic Violence Network's Rachel Ramirez research. Elders who are affected by abuse are at higher risk than one would think. The abuse is continuous throughout the lifespan and sometimes can start later in life if they lose a very compassionate partner and they start dating again. They might not be aware of the signs of an abusive relationship, and they could be going through it. And so we're here to help.
You know, I think what you've said here, Laura, is really important because we
I can't
have
hear her.
we have the issue of domestic
Kathy,
violence.
you want to speak?
I don't know what she's saying. I can't hear her.
I can't hear
We-
her either. All right.
We have the issue of domestic violence, and it does not necessarily go away. And the impact of domestic violence continues sometimes, especially when, because of the violence, somebody experiences a traumatic brain injury, as you have, Laura. I mean,
Yes.
that is one of the consequences that can happen, and that doesn't go away. What would,
Can you hear her?
if somebody is experiencing domestic violence, what should they do?
First, seek help at one of the resource centers at the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence. I'm really slow. At
You're
their
okay.
website data page, they have all the resource centers that are in the state. So you go to the closest one to you so that you can get some help. They have a database page for help for lawyers, help for housing, help for food, help for a little bit of everything, just so that you have the resources. But if you think you have a TBI from DV, I would definitely seek medical help first.
Okay. So if you've been a victim of domestic violence, you want to,
Can you
call
tell me what you're saying?
911 if that is something that is possible. If it is a situation where it is ongoing, it might take a little bit of planning for the victim to be able to get out of the situation. Now, Kathy, are you able to share your experience?
Do you want to
Because we can hear you when you speak.
right here,
So, Kathy, if
So you can
you
see-
could share your
or
experience.
you can go that way. Either way.
I'm sorry. Could you just repeat that?
Can you share your experience?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little echo. So my experience was quite a while ago, but I just met a guy one night, and he was he was pretty persistent. It started off kind of nice, you know. He was you know, very uh I'm sorry.
Charisma.
I'm getting
You're
I'm
okay.
getting uh um kind, you know. He was very, you know, very flattering. We had a few dates. He was very it was very nice in the beginning, but very slowly but surely, you know, signs were there that I didn't recognize. And unfortunately, you know, as time went on, it became more difficult to um get away from it because it's very insidious, you know. But it became more violent, and I became more isolated, and family and friends started to move away. So the more isolated I became, the more difficult it was. um and it and as in any one of these situations, the more isolated you become, the more difficult and the more danger it is to get away. So it went on for a while. Uh, and once I did manage to get some help, my family was very helpful, but again, it was very dangerous. He stalked me for a very long time. Um, and then I had a child. Um, uh, I had to move. I had to change my address. I had to give nobody information. You know, nobody could have my information for a long time. I had to not let the schools know, you know, where I was. It was scary for a very long time. Until he finally got arrested and I could feel safe again. But the, the thing that I like to tell people is when women are trying to get away, be kind. Like, don't be judgmental. It takes a long time for women to get away safely. It's not just a matter of um just leave. You can't just leave, you know. It's not that simple. The barriers are many. It could be financial, it could be there are children, it could be you're afraid, you know. It is the most dangerous time when you're trying to get out of a dangerous relationship. So uh, no judgments, give them time. They say it's an average of 7 times before a woman actually leaves. So it's not a matter of why do they stay. It's like how do they get away, you know? And that's where these resources come in handy. Um, you have to have a safety plan. You have to do it safely. So
You know, Kathy, you bring up some really good points there that happen. You know, I appreciate that, Laura, you shared that, you know, sometimes you lose your spouse, you lose your partner, and you start dating a little later in life. And maybe you're not familiar with some of the signs of a possible unsafe situation because, Kathy, like you said, you know, they enter your world and they're charming and they're nice and they say all the right things, and there's a term called love bombing
yes,
where they are understanding where your own soft spots are, and so they start dancing on those little soft spots until you realize that, you know, that dancing on those soft spots is hurting. If
mhm,
if every abusive relationship started with the first date being a punch in the face, we would all
exactly,
know, don't keep going.
exactly.
But the reality, it's, oh my God, you're the best thing ever. You're so beautiful. You're so handsome. I've never met anybody. I'm so connected to you. And it does make you feel very special until the power and control dynamic starts changing. And
Absolutely.
the ability to leave, they say that when someone is leaving or planning to leave, it's one of the most dangerous times because the abuser is recognizing that they are losing their power and control over their victim.
Absolutely.
And it's those things that you have to keep in mind. It's not necessarily as simple as walking out the door because, well, where are you going? Are you going to get an apartment? Who owns the car? Who controls the cash in the checking account? And, they still know where you work and they're still going to sell you like, I love you. We can work it out. I promise I'll change and all of those things. So, Laura, you mentioned something that can happen in domestic violence situations that really has some permanent impacts. Could you share some of the traumatic brain injury symptoms that can come from domestic violence and intimate partner violence?
Yeah, I partly inflicted brain injury is the injury to the brain from blows hit to the head and or assaults that make breathing difficult, such as strangulation as well, caused by an intimate partner. As far as the symptoms, I mean, it can be slurring, it can be confusion, sometimes extreme emotions. So you could also the slurring of your words and stuff like that can happen, which makes sometimes people think that they have maybe drank or something like that, but it's probably the brainstem that might have got damaged. Um, the Typically it's an external force. There's bruising to the brain tissue, damage to the neurons, the blood vessels. So with the confusion and misunderstanding sometimes, and sometimes the extreme emotions, sometimes it's tough for them to get the information they need if the police are coming to the scene. If they see these symptoms, they probably should take the person directly to the ER or tell them to go to the ER. Most likely take them to the ER because that way they'll be safe. And not question them before they're assessed for a brain injury if all these symptoms, if the symptoms are about with balance issues or even passing out.
You bring up a great point that traumatic brain injury can have the appearance of someone who's drinking, whether that's maybe difficulty walking or that slurring of speech or the eyes not being able to track. And those are indeed signs of traumatic brain injuries that really need to be checked out. For our older adults, it could be a perception of, well, they're old and they fall down, or they take a lot of
Definitely.
medication and they're just confused. But the reality is domestic violence happens at all ages.
Hmm.
And those traumatic brain injury symptoms, although I would like to believe that victims aren't judged, that if they were drinking and were a victim of domestic violence, that would not be passed off as the victim's fault. Well, oh, well, they were drinking, so of course they got punched in the head.
But
It's
also the
not
fear and
like that.
frustration. The fear and frustration of not being able to recall the facts could happen with the brain as well.
Yeah. And so now, it is unfortunate that our legal system now really questions whether or not the victim is a quote unquote true victim, as opposed to an individual who's being judged as not a worthy victim. And for those of you who are listening, I'm using air quotes because nobody under any circumstance is deserving of being abused, of
Hmm.
being injured, and everyone should have safe space. But if an incident occurs, it's important that our first responders really look at that big picture because Laura, like you said, if you're being choked, if you've been punched in the head, if you've been thrown to the floor, those things can cause the traumatic brain injury that can even make the prosecution of the crime more challenging.
But I do want to make it important to remember that we cannot diagnose a head injury or a brain injury, or a policeman might not be able to diagnose. But if the symptoms are there, it's so important to be taken immediately to the emergency so that someone can be assessed. Because sometimes if they're trying to question and stuff like that, there'll be frustration and stuff because they don't have their capacities fully because of the brain injury.
And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, the elderly are more susceptible to those brain injuries because they're oftentimes just more fragile, just by the fact that they're older, and so they really should be considered in those situations.
Absolutely. So for Sisters Overcoming Abusive Relationships, SOAR in Rhode Island, did I understand correctly, Laura, that you're the founder of the organization?
I'm not the founder, but I've been there for over 30 years. One of my friends, Rosa Di Castillo, she works at the government. She works for the government, and she's one of the founders.
Rosa is a wonderful advocate. I've known Rosa for many years, and she is absolutely wonderful. Now, if people wanted to reach out to Sisters Overcoming Abusive Relationships or SOAR in RI, where should they go, or how would they contact SOAR?
Well, they can check our website out, which is www.soarinri.org, or they can call 467-9940 and ask for the organizer.
Awesome. And are you does Sisters Overcoming Abusive Relationships, do you go out and give community trainings or presentations for folks to learn more?
We do. We speak to the schools. We go into the high schools. We go into the colleges. We speak to police officers, military, anybody who will invite us. We will go. We talk about red flag warnings. Anything that anybody wants to know, and we use our experiences to do that, because we talk to legislators at the state house to help change the laws, to help survivors and victims of domestic violence in any way we can. So anybody that wants a speaker or somebody to come, please contact us. You can also get to us through the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence, because we're a task force through the coalition. So yes, please do.
And I do want to say that we just started a training on TBI and DV. Myself and the law enforcement coordinator at the coalition have done the training 3 times, and we're probably going to develop one for teens and youth as well as elderly, because we were asked at the last training to possibly do that.
Yeah. Domestic violence crosses the age spectrum.
Yeah. We also do like a financial training, like financial 101 training for survivors, and DV 101 training. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
So you guys are a nonprofit, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
And the SOAR sisters are all volunteered who have experienced domestic violence. So
awesome. If people wanted to support the work that you're doing and help spread the word and raise awareness of domestic violence across the age spectrum, how can people support the work that you're doing? Do you need volunteers? Do you need donors? What do you need?
we could use donors. We can always use volunteers. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we definitely can use donors, because everything's on pause and some money have been taken away from a lot of programs and stuff.
We
that are
lost a lot of
nonprofit.
funding.
Yeah.
This year we lost all of the funding for SOAR. We are now being funded through the coalition directly. So yeah, we can always use funding.
There you go. So
Yeah.
there's
But people can
walks
help at
coming up.
events too.
Excuse me?
Yeah. I said
Yeah.
there's walks to raise awareness. I know one of them is happening tomorrow.
That's for the Elizabeth Buffum Chase, which is great also. We're also having a vigil. I don't know all the
On
details.
on October 23rd, we're having a visual at the bridge in Providence,
Okay.
And
and that's on our website.
that's to honor some of the victims that we've lost and to also raise awareness. And there'll be some speakers and dancing. They haven't, it's a celebration also, but
Very good.
to honor
Very
some
good.
of our victims.
Well, as a small organization that is doing some powerful, mighty, big things, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on today and have the conversation about this situation that domestic violence doesn't start with that first meeting and they punch you in the face, that it starts with a lot of love bombing and can end in a traumatic brain injury. So I appreciate you guys coming on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
your
having
time.
us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Everybody, domestic violence is one of those things that can start in later life. It can also be something that has aged along with the relationship, but you don't need to be a victim. You can get out. There are services out there. And as Laura and Kathy said, when someone is getting out of an unsafe relationship, do your best not to judge them because you don't know how hard it was for that survivor to take those steps. If you are aware of someone who is being victimized, you can reach out to the police department in your community and ask them. You can call 911 and ask them to come and check on your neighbors, your friends. Those things are possible. If it is an older adult, and maybe it's not something acute where you hear the abuse taking place right now, but you know that that older adult who's living with their family members or their partner is perhaps being neglected or is being financially abused, you are required to notify the Adult Protective Services Office at the Office of Healthy Aging at the 401-462-0555 number. If you are someone who is seeking services, you want to get out and you need help planning, you can call the toll-free number 1-800-494-8100. The Sisters Overcoming Abusive Relationships in Rhode Island is a very critical program that really connects and helps the community and helps the survivors. If there is some way that you can help support them, whether it's coming to the vigil or volunteering or sharing this video, I encourage you to do it. You never know who is in that situation. And as they said, 50% of Rhode Island men and women are victims of domestic violence. And remember, if someone is victimized, they very well could be suffering from a traumatic brain injury. So this was a heavy one this week. I'm really glad that you stayed with us to the end. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. In the meantime, be well and please be kind.